right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining Art Journaling with Ruthe Guerry, Creative Engagement Manager for Mather Community Initiatives. Ruthe is an art therapist and practicing artist. She weaves her personal experience as an herbalist, meditator, and maker into programs that focus on whole person wellness. In this series, Ruthe will share creative prompts and guide you through a variety of art-making processes and techniques using supplies you can find around the house. This is the second in our series with Ruthe, but don't worry, you don't need to have joined the first one to participate today. So please join me in virtually welcoming Ruthe Guerry. Ruthe, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Deirdre. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you all today. Art journaling is something that has a very special place in my heart, something that I enjoy doing, not only as an art therapist, what I've done with clients, but also something that I've done in my own practice as well. So I have several art journals that I'm working out of, and all of them are just as important and necessary as the other. But art journaling, this series that we're doing, just like Deirdre said, is taking kind of an overview look at some different types of art journaling methods. But the truth is, there is absolutely no wrong way to art journal. You don't have to have experience. You don't have to be a practicing artist. You don't have to be a writer. You just have to be present and open. And there's so many different ways to create in your art journal. And so we're going to kind of, in this series, kind of go through a variety of ways. Last week, we talked about neurographic art and we kind of did some mindful drawing. Today, we're going to be focusing on collage. And I'll get back to that in just a second. But art journaling is a long recognized therapeutic practice. Like I said, it's something that I've done for years with clients and myself. But the main focus that I always put on art journaling, that main focus is always on process. So it's not about making these perfect, wonderful finished pieces. It's really about being present in the making. Because the truth is, that's where those benefits are. We get a lot of benefits from the practice of art journaling. We can get increased focus. We can de-stress. We can center. We can feel good. It boosts our self-esteem. The truth is, all that happens when we're in the middle of making. It doesn't happen at the end. And so for that reason, I like to put a heavy emphasis on the making time. And so that's what's going to happen today. We're going to start creating together and really spend a little time just being present in the making. One of the things that I say often, and you'll probably hear me say today, is this wonderful Japanese phrase called wabi-sabi. And wabi-sabi is all about finding beauty in the imperfection. So again, it's like putting that heavy emphasis on the making and not doing it right, making it perfect, not messing up, but just in the making, right? Finding beauty in that journey, in that making time. Now, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight my hands. I will kind of go through some of our supplies for today. Thank you. I was a little slower on that take. Thank you for it's fine. So the supplies that we need for today are going to be our journal or a piece of paper. I'm going to be using a journal that I started last week. And I'm going to open up to a clean sheet of paper. So if you have your journal with you, go ahead and open that up to a clean page. Or if you have a loose piece of paper, go ahead and open that up. We're going to be working on that today. This is going to be the base for our project. The other supplies that we need for today are going to be a pair of scissors and an adhesive. I'm using a glue stick, but you can use any type of adhesive, whether it's Elmer's glue, tacky glue, tape, whatever adhesive you have will work for this project. I like using a glue stick because it dries quickly, but any adhesive will work. And then the main material we're going to be working with today are scraps of paper, loose paper, magazine paper, old mail, old projects, like I have here, scraps, scrapbooking paper, construction paper, old artwork. We're just going to be using that paper today to create our collage. Now, collage is pretty easy if you haven't done that before. What we're doing today will be a good first step into the world of collage. But collage is all about taking pieces that don't normally go together and gluing them together to create a cohesive piece. And so our project today will be a little collage. We're going to be inspired by an artist. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I want to talk about the artist Vasily Kandinsky. He may be a name that you recognize. He may be a name you recognize. He may be new to you. Either way is good. But Kandinsky is a Russian painter, was a Russian painter, and he was an abstract expressionist. And so abstract expression is really kind of an art form that focuses on colors and shapes that convey meaning or emotion. And so Kandinsky, in a lot of his work, and these are two examples of his work, typical of his work, but he very much believed that colors could convey emotion without even showing any particular object or figure. He believed that colors alone, could tell a story. And Kandinsky was actually one of the first artists who purely painted abstract works of art without using any kind of recognizable reference. It was purely abstracted. And these are two really great examples of his work. Now, many of the paintings that Kandinsky did, they really he explored the emotional and impressionistic uses of color. And I think, again, these two are perfect examples of that. So I want to invite us to take just a moment right now and look at both of these images. There are some similarities and there are some differences, but I want to invite us to take a really good look. A lot of times when we're looking at art, we kind of look at it in passing. So I want to invite us to really be present with these paintings today and notice the details. Pay attention to the color, the line, the light, the space. Just kind of notice. Notice those details. What are some of the things that are standing out to you? And no, there's no wrong answer, but what is standing out to you? What's coming to your mind as you look at these two pieces? If you want to go ahead and put it in the chat, just type it in. What's standing out to you? Like I said, there's no wrong answer. Colors, colors and shape, movement, space and color, circles, movement. These are great. Oh, one is contained, one is free, dark and light. Floating circles, high contrast, planets, layering. Oh, these are really great observations, everyone. Solar system, circles within a circle, halos, bubbles. I love that. Oh, dark release when you're going to sleep. The unknown, cluster, a happy feeling. These are really great. As we're adding these in, and definitely continue to keep adding your observations in, I want to ask, what feeling do you get when you're looking at these two pieces? They're just a bunch of circles and lines and colors, but does one feel better than the other? Was one feel lighter, happier? What are some of the feelings that you get when you're looking at these two pieces or either of these pieces? Calm, relaxing. The lighter one is more cheerful. Yeah. Relaxed, control. The dark feels more open. That's a good one. Light has movement. Yeah. Oh, the dark one feels pensive, floating. These are really good. Yeah. Night and day. Yeah. Chaos. Contained chaos. I like that. The dark is foreboding. That's good. Confusion. Yeah. So there's a lot of feelings that I think we get from looking at these two images. And it's not just one background being dark and the other being light, but I think it's a combination of color that he uses here. And I find that absolutely fascinating. Color is something that he put to the forefront, Kandinsky put to the forefront in his artwork, in his paintings and his making. Color was very important to him. And he would actually take different colors and shapes, combine them with different shapes to see which one felt right, felt more right. And I love that so much because that doesn't mean he's using all this like art, history, technical knowledge, but he's going on what feels good. Now, not all of us may come from an art background, and that is okay, perfectly okay. But all of us, when we look at something, we can tell if it feels right or it doesn't feel right. If it feels upsetting or if it feels happy, we can pick up on that. We don't have to have any kind of special education or study for that. And I love that Kandinsky used that kind of idea when he was doing these paintings. If you haven't seen a lot of Kandinsky's work, I definitely want to recommend looking him up. He's got a lot of really great work that he's done, and he does a lot of work that combines music and painting. It's really fascinating. And so there's a link we're going to share, artstory.com, and has a page on Kandinsky that gives some extra information and some more of his work too. But I'm going to move on to this next painting here. And this is the one we're going to spend a little extra time with today. But again, I want to ask us to kind of focus in on these images here, noticing the color, the shape, the light, the combinations. And here in this piece, what are some things that are standing out to you here? And again, there's no wrong answer, but what's standing out to you in this image? Messy. It's true. Irregular shapes, vibrant energy, yellows and orange, vibrant colors, brightness. Yeah. Oh, it feels like a conversation. That's good. Boldness, yellow, vibrancy, childlike innocence, a child drawing. This is good. Everything has its place, all the same but different. Such great observations. And this is true. All of these are true. This one is probably one of the more recognizable pieces that Kandinsky has painted. Um, Yes. Oh, I love that last comment. The circles are not perfectly round, but we still see them as circles. There's a lot of imperfection, what we would see as imperfection in this piece, right? They're not exact, perfect circles, but they are circles. There are some colors that overlap here, right? There are some colors that are repeated. Yeah, each color is affecting the other. There's movement. They're unique and different. Oh, I like studies of the sun's emotional impact to him personally. That's such a great view. Um, what I want to kind of encourage us to take away from this is his idea of play here. There's play happening. I don't know if he was actually intentionally doing it or not, but one of the things that I noticed that I really like is that there's kind of a play with the different colors. They're same colors throughout the image. And like you'll see that kind of periwinkle purpley blue color. And it's repeated in several of the squares, but it looks different because it's combined with different colors. And as I said earlier, he would take these different colors and kind of layer them up, combine them with different shapes to see which one felt most right. And I can see that happening here, layering these different colors and seeing how those colors change. Each square here has a series of circles inside, concentric circles. And I think each of them have a different feeling, right? Or some of the same feelings. But let's take a moment right now and just kind of look at each of these squares. What feelings are you getting looking at this? And again, there's no wrong answer. Feel free to put it in the chat. Joyful, cheerful, disorder, unrest, joyful and lively, childhood bullseye, energy. Yes. Oh, that's true. A good observation. There's only one pink in here. Yeah. A sushi quilt. I love it. Nostalgia play, bold, energy. Playful, vibrancy, lonely pink. Yeah. And so I don't know a lot about what he was thinking, Kandinsky was thinking when he created this painting. But I want to invite us to be inspired by this painting today when we create our collage. Today, we're going to kind of play around with different colors, creating our own concentric circles. I'll guide us through this. Feel free to do as I do. Like create in the same way I am, or use this as a starting place to build off of, and know that either way is okay because there's no wrong way to make art. We're going to pull inspiration in our own way. The last thing I'll say as we're getting ready, I'm going to stop sharing and go back to my hands here. But the last thing I'll say before we get started is that circles were something that was a shape that was used pretty often in Kandinsky's work. He believed that everything begins with a circle. Even when you're drawing a line, it begins with a dot, and that dot is just a tiny circle. Right? So he believed that the circle was the beginning of everything. And if we think about circles' use throughout history in many different belief systems, circles have a lot of meaning: unity, infinity, wholeness, perfection, harmony, a life cycle. We think about meditations like mandalas or the tree of life. The circles have a lot of meaning. They carry a lot of meaning in a lot of belief systems and a lot of cultures around the world. And so I love that circle is something that he kind of pulls into his artwork and uses that as a starting place. So I want to invite us today to start creating our own circles, to create our own concentric circles, and inspired by Kandinsky's piece. Yeah, even the earth is round, right? There's circles are everywhere. So what we're going to be doing today is creating our own concentric circles. And what I want to ask us to do is think about our colors. Now, I'm going to be using today, I've got some magazine pages that I'm going to be pulling from. And I've got some scrap papers, construction paper. I've got a variety of things that I'm going to be using today. Whatever you have around you, even if it's plain white paper and you have markers to color on the white paper, feel free to do that too. But I want to invite us to think about these colors and how they interact with each other, and maybe how those colors change when we place them with different colors. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start off, and feel free to follow along with me, but I'm going to start off by taking some pieces here that I have. They're different colors, old artwork scraps that I'm used, and I'm going to start cutting them up into circles, different size circles. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that here. Feel free to cut or tear. And I'm going to start off by just cutting some circles. One of the nice things about collage is that it doesn't have to be glued down. It's not permanent. So we can start by just cutting out all our pieces and arranging them. Like I said, in the style of Kandinsky, he was someone who just kind of used the different paint, moved it around the different colors to see what worked, what felt right. And so that's what I want to kind of encourage us to do today. So I'm going to start off by cutting out some circles, some different size circles from different pieces of paper. And I'm doing different sizes too. I'm using old artwork, but like I said, you can use magazine pages, old mail, old artwork, even fabric scraps work. If you have some fabric scraps that you want to bring in. That's the nice thing about collages. It doesn't have to be just one material. So I'm cutting out a variety of colors here. So I want to invite us to do the same. Know that it doesn't have to be perfect. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about a lot of Kandinsky's paintings, especially the one we just looked at, is that the circles were wonky. right? They weren't exact. So it's okay if ours are a little wonky as well. I know I can't cut the smoothest circle. So mine are kind of more organic, shall we say. But if you want something that's more exact, know that you can trace your circles too and get something that's more precise. But I think there's something that's really nice in the kind of chaos almost, that messiness, shall we say, of having those odd shapes. I'm just cutting out some different sizes. I'm bringing in some different colors to do that, different types of paper. You may notice, one of the things I'm noticing are that my scraps have some of the same colors that I use over and over again. And that's okay too. You've got different colors that you want to use. I want to invite us to think about how we're layering these colors as well. Ooh. So I'm just going to kind of cut out a few more before I get started, and feel free to cut out a bunch of different sizes because we're going to be doing some layering here. Doing what feels right and thinking about how the colors look with different colors around them. And you can see again, just as a reminder, they don't have to be perfect circles. Wonky is okay. And that's the technical term there, wonky. Just kidding. I'm just going to kind of cut around, cut some shapes out. I'm going to do a few more colors here to get me started. You can see I'm doing a variety of sizes, getting some big ones and small ones. I'm using scraps. I joke around about how my road to becoming an artist was the same road to becoming a hoarder. Because I feel like, when you're doing some making, you always think, I could use this for something. I can make something with it. And I feel like that's what my little box of scraps has become. When I'm making something, I always like, oh, let me save that little scrap because I might be able to make something with it. And so it's nice when we have days like this where we can bring in those little scraps and use them, actually use them in something. I'm going to do just a few more shapes here, or a few more colors. I'm going to get started on some layering. Again, I'm not worried about making perfect circles, perfect shapes. I'm just making some shapes to start with today. And then I'm going to do a smaller one here. Okay. So I've got some pieces that I'm starting with, and the nice thing about the magazine pages is that you can kind of flip them up, back and forth to see which color you like better. So you get more choices with that one. But to start off, I'm going to kind of think about my bigger pieces here. So I'm going to move some of these out of the way. I have a couple bigger pieces. And I'm going to kind of set up for myself. And some may be repeating. I'm just going to kind of lay them up here. Okay. right, so what we'll do is now that I've got my starting place, I've got a few big pieces here. I'm going to start by layering, thinking about what color feels right next to another color. I'm going to let myself kind of do this in a very intuitive way. What feels right to me? I'm going to invite you to do the same. Think about what feels right when you layer it. Know that you don't have to use all the circles that you cut out. You can cut more out too, but I always find that it's helpful to kind of have that starting place where you're kind of picking through some colors to start. And one of the nice things about doing like magazine pages or old mail is that you have some really nice patterns or words that do add to it as well. So I'm just going to kind of take some pieces and kind of test them. See which one looks right, which one feels right. I'm not worried about gluing anything down now. I'm just trying things out. And if something feels right, then I'm going to lay it down, knowing that I may move it later. And I'm just going to start layering up some of my pieces. And it's okay to arrange and rearrange, kind of play around with that a little bit. And it's okay to trim too. So I'm going to do that with some of my pieces too. Just give it a little trim. And just kind of play around with placement. One of the things that I want to try, or at least that I want to pay attention to, is using some of the same colors, some pieces from the same page that you're cutting, and seeing how they look different with the colors that they're around. So for example, I have this lovely yellow pink piece here on my orange, and then I have some of that same page here on pink. It kind of looks a little different. It has a different feeling to it. So just kind of take your time thinking about what colors you might add, what colors might work piled up. And it's okay to change. It's okay to do different layers. And to think about different ways of layering those colors up. That's why I said this is a very intuitive process. So it's putting things down, thinking about what it feels like, if it feels right. And know at the same time, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see my shapes are kind of all over the place, but that's okay. I'm just giving myself permission to arrange and rearrange, to try things out. And if you've done collage before, you know the drill, right? You get to arrange and rearrange and then rearrange until it feels right. It's okay to change things around and move them. Just take some time to kind of play around with your color options. I'm doing, I'm doing just 6 that I've started with here, but know that you can fill your whole page. I like this scrap paper I was working with earlier, so I'm going to go make a tiny little circle out of that and use it for one of my pieces. Kind of bring that shape back in. I'm doing about 3 or 4 circles for each of my circles. But know that you can do 2, you can do 22, 102. However many you want to do is good. I'm just kind of taking my time with that arranging. And thinking about what my color pieces, color combinations might be saying. Maybe I find myself using a whole bunch of blues and greens, which I think I am with the scraps that I'm using today. Does it give me a feeling of calmness or anxiety? How does it feel to make those combinations? I want to invite us to think about that arranging too. Just like Kandinsky, moving it around to see which colors feel right next to which colors, or which combination of colors feels right to you. And there's no wrong way to do that. There's no judgment or opinions of others in this series, right? In this process. This is us only. Layering these things up. Maybe you're using all the magazine pieces or old artwork, old mail. Feel free to cut more pieces and add that in. One of the things that I'm trying to be intentional about is my repetition of colors. I, like Kandinsky, also think that colors can um, change depending on their environment. Colors have meaning, right? Um, certain colors mean certain things to us. We surround ourselves with certain colors. Does your color meaning change for you when you put it with different colors and different combinations? It's okay if it doesn't. I think sometimes it's good to think about those things. And so I'm just kind of layering out my images here, or laying out my colors, playing around with those combinations. And I'm going to continue on with my other page here because I've got some leftover pieces here. So I'm just going to continue to build my collage. And again, I want to invite you to do the same. Build that collage up. Maybe you're using a bunch of scrap pieces like I am, or maybe you're using construction paper, or maybe you're coloring your own circles. Either way is good. But as we're cutting and layering, I want to really invite us to think about our color options here. Think about those color combos. I started off way too big for that one. Yes. That's what I say. I think some of these combinations, they kind of feel better as you move them around. And then when you find that combination that you like, and then it's good to go ahead and glue those down. But it doesn't have to be glued down right away. And of course, I'm cutting images today, but know that you can tear, you can color. Just kind of layering that up. Again, the beauty of doing collage is that it doesn't have to look a certain way. You can glue it down when it feels right. And if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't have to be glued down. It's kind of fun to think about how colors interact with each other. Same side. Some fun with the different combinations that you're coming up with as well. Think about the interplay between those colors too. I'm using some of the same supplies for each of these, the same papers. But because I'm combining them in different ways, it's giving me a wide variety of finished circles. So just have some fun with this today, those color combos. Layering those up. And then when you've got that image that you like, the colors that you like, the combinations that you like, then let's start gluing them down. I'm going to go ahead and get a few more to kind of finish out this combination that I'm working on now. I'm going to cut out just a few more. And again, as a reminder, I just want to encourage us to not focus on making these perfectly round shapes. And go back to that, the painting from Kandinsky, and notice that those circles that he did were all so many different sizes and shapes. Some were more round than others, some were chaotic and messy, but they all work together, right? I'm going to play around with some of the same pieces in the same one here. It's kind of fun to experiment with the pieces that we have too.
We've
And
got,
see what comes.
we've got Carol with her hand raised. I think we might have a
Yeah.
question. So
Sorry
Carol,
about that.
ask you to unmute your device if you want to unmute and ask your
Oh,
question.
do the circles have to be concentric, or can they be like, or way off center where they touch an edge, where each circle touches the same edge?
So my answer is yes to both of them. They can be, and they can also not be. So take inspiration from those different paintings that Kandinsky did, where he had concentric circles in that last one, but in the others, they were kind of spread out all over. And if that feels more right to you, definitely go that direction. I'm doing concentric circles here, but it doesn't have to be that way. So whatever feels right for you really is right. Good question. So I'm just going to do a few more pieces and then I'm going to start gluing mine down. Know that you may not be finished with your piece and our time together today, and that's okay. This is a good start, and it may be something that we come back to, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe something we spend a few more hours on, days on, and that's good too. I think sometimes the most fun we can have making comes from stuff we can kind of come back to, right? And keep adding on to. So I'm going to bring my glue stick in. If you're at a stopping place like I am, maybe you have your page filled up, I'm going to start gluing down those pieces. Now I'm using a glue stick today, but you can use tape, you can use Elmer's glue, you can use tacky glue, you can use super glue, hot glue. And I'm just adding a little glue to the back and then gluing it down. Gluing the circles on top of each other. Like I said, they can be center. They can be wonky. I feel like that's my word for today is wonky. I'm just taking my time gluing all the pieces down. Now that I've found a way, a combination, an order that I really like, I'm just going to kind of finish it off by gluing it down. And as I'm gluing it down, I just want to mention again, we talked about Kandinsky's paintings here, his concentric circles. And so if you haven't heard about Kandinsky or his work before, I definitely want to encourage looking up more about it. But there are so many artists out there that do such great work too. One website that I use often is Art Story, and there's a page on there of Kandinsky and his work. So definitely check that out. I'm just kind of gluing my pieces down now. And again, this is one of the things that I really like about collage is you don't have to glue it down until you're ready, until you're happy with it. So it's okay to kind of play around and change it up. And I'm using a glue stick to glue my pieces down today because it dries somewhat quickly. But any type of glue will work, or adhesive. And if you're doing it in the style of Kandinsky, using paint or markers to get your color, that's also good too. Finishing off my pieces here. Thank you for adding the link in the chat. And again, like this is something that you can take your time with. And there's, again, no wrong way to do this. Once you get your circles glued down, then I can go through and add that glue and glue them down to my paper. And I'm using my journal as a background. But you can do this on colored paper. The pattern paper, that also adds to it as well. I think there's something nice about thinking just on those color families that we're building here. And when something is repetitive, it can feel really soothing. And so we're kind of creating our own version of this meditative mandala, so to speak, creating these circles within a circle, all these different layers. And as I mentioned before, a circle carries so much meaning in a lot of different cultures and countries around the world. And so there's something also that's very nice about taking something that carries so much meaning and emotion and kind of bringing in this other layer of colors and how that can kind of change how it feels and how it looks to us. And so I'm just kind of taking my time gluing everything down. So I have my finished piece. And if you are working along with me and you've got your pieces almost glued down, that's fantastic. If you've still got a ways to go, that's also fantastic. There's no need to rush today. But if you are still working on your piece, definitely continue to do so. But if you have a moment, I just want to ask, now that we're coming to the end of our time together today, it always feels like it goes by so fast. But now that we're coming to the end of this time today, I want to ask, how did it feel to slow down and focus on making these circles, creating these different patterns and color? And it's okay to be honest. Feel free to put it in the chat. How did it feel to layer that up, focusing on this one shape and creating these these different circles. Now that I'm looking at it, I found the way I want it. Oh, these are great. Relaxing, calming, centering, enjoyable, freeing. Oh, good. Hey, Carol, I see you have your hand up. You have a question or comment?
Trying to answer the question. I'm not a lover of cutting, but as soon as you said they don't have to be perfect, somehow or other that was very freeing.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Once, like, it is a little stressful with a circle because it's so hard to draw a circle. It's so hard to cut a circle. But when you start thinking circle-ish, just like Kandinsky, they don't have to be perfect and they can still carry beauty and meaning too. But yeah, it can be freeing knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect. And it is about that making process. Sometimes there's something that's soothing about just kind of doing what comes, however wonky or kind of squished.
And once you took the perfection out of it, then it was the fun of matching colors and making design. And it wasn't,
Yeah.
there was no worry about how am I cutting.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad that you were able to kind of freely cut and enjoy the process too. And I hope others have enjoyed this series as well, or today's session. I know that our time is almost up, but I want to ask if you have your camera on, if you feel comfortable turning your camera on. I would love to see what everyone is working on. So if you have your piece and you want to just kind of show it up in front of your camera, I'd be happy to really see it. It's nice to see what other people are doing and what other people are coming up. Oh, these are nice. These look so good. I love the patterns that everyone's coming up with. These look great, everyone. Doing these magazine pages. I see markers and construction paper. I love the variety of supplies too. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this time together today. It's always enjoyable being able to create with others. If this is something you enjoy, I want to encourage you to keep doing it. Try it out some more. Maybe try different shapes or different colors. Maybe try different supplies and just kind of have some fun with it. Be intentional about slowing down and just being present and focusing on what's right in front of you. Next week, if you're going to be joining us next week, we're going to be making some stickers that are going to be really fun to use in art processes. So the main thing we need for next week is going to be clear tape, whether it's packing tape, contact paper, scotch tape, and magazine pages. And so we'll talk about doing some of that next week. So I'll turn it back over to Deirdre. Thank you so much, everyone.